I knew something was seriously wrong when I walked into the server room at 6:47 a.m. and found the main authentication server throwing error codes like confetti at a New Year's party, red lights blinking everywhere, alerts scrolling faster than I could read them, and the temperature gauge showing 89 degrees. That server had been rock solid for 15 years. Running code I'd written back when our biggest worry was Y2K compliance. My name's Wade Hartley. I'm 49. And I've been the senior engineering manager at TechFlow Solutions for 22 years. I've seen 3 CEOs, 4 CTOs, and more revolutionary software initiatives than I care to count. But I'd never seen our core systems fail this spectacularly, especially not the authentication backbone that handled every single user login across our entire client base. The timing wasn't coincidental. Ashley Rodriguez, our new HR head fresh from some Silicon Valley startup, had been making her rounds with her modernization roadmap and her habit of calling experienced engineers like me legacy resources. She smiled when she said it, like she was being clever instead of insulting. Ashley had this way of tilting her head slightly when she spoke to senior staff, like she was explaining something simple to a confused child. I rolled up my sleeves and dove into the crisis. The authentication daemon had crashed during an automatic update that someone, probably one of the junior developers, had pushed to production without following change control procedures. The kind of procedures I'd written and maintained for the past decade, the same ones Ashley kept saying were unnecessarily bureaucratic. 6 hours later, I had the system rebuilt from scratch, line by line through code I'd originally written in 2005, when our client base was 50 companies instead of 500. The authentication module that handled SSL certificates, the database connection pooling that prevented bottlenecks, the failover protocols that kept us running when hardware died. All of it lived in my head because I'd built it, debugged it, and maintained it through countless upgrades and patches. No fanfare, no recognition. Just another Tuesday crisis solved by the guy they kept saying was resistant to agile methodologies. I documented the fix in our incident management system, same as always. Root cause, unauthorized production deployment. Resolution, manual rollback and system rebuild. Estimated downtime prevented, 14 hours. Potential revenue impact avoided, $280,000. Ashley watched me work from across the hall, taking notes on her tablet. I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. Old guy, expensive salary, probably doesn't understand modern DevOps practices. Time to upgrade to someone younger, cheaper, and more willing to embrace her vision of streamlined engineering workflows. She wasn't wrong about the expensive part. When you've been somewhere for over 2 decades and actually know how the infrastructure works, they tend to pay you accordingly. My annual salary was $145,000, plus benefits that added another $40,000 to my cost. For a mid-sized company in the Midwest, that was serious money. But expensive and obsolete aren't the same thing, though I doubted Ashley understood the difference. The funny thing about being invisible is that you hear everything. And I'd been listening for months while Ashley built her case for optimizing the engineering department through strategic restructuring. Meetings got rescheduled without me. Email chains started excluding my input. Junior developers who used to ask my advice about database optimization suddenly had all the answers, courtesy of whatever bootcamp certification program they'd completed. Carl Stevens, one of our senior developers, started avoiding eye contact during stand-up meetings. Sarah Kim from legal stopped asking me to review vendor contracts for technical feasibility. Even Gary Mills from facilities quit mentioning infrastructure concerns when Ashley was around. The message was clear. Wade Hartley was becoming a problem that needed solving. I didn't fight it. Fighting just makes you look defensive. And defensive looks guilty in corporate politics. Instead, I did my job, documented everything meticulously, and quietly saved copies of some very specific files I'd been keeping since 2004. Files most people forgot existed, buried in a folder structure that predated 3 different reorganizations and 2 major software platform migrations. The axe fell on a Thursday morning in October. Ashley's calendar invite was chirpy as always. Quick sync, 15 minutes. The smiley face emoji felt like salt in a wound I hadn't received yet, but somehow knew was coming. The conference room was sterile and windowless, smelling like whatever industrial-strength cleaning product the night crew used. Ashley sat across from me with a manila folder, and that practiced expression HR people learn in seminars about difficult conversations. The folder was thick enough to contain legal documents, which meant this wasn't about project timelines or performance reviews. "Wade," she began in that overly careful voice people use when they're about to ruin your day, "we're implementing some exciting changes in our engineering organizational structure. Leadership has decided to move toward more agile, cloud-native solutions with a focus on modern development practices. And unfortunately, your current position doesn't align with our new strategic direction." Translation: we want someone who costs half as much and uses buzzwords we recognize from LinkedIn posts. She slid a letter across the table like she was dealing a poker card she knew would hurt me. Standard termination notice, printed on company letterhead that looked too clean, too official. The language was generic enough to have been downloaded from a template website. Due to organizational restructuring and strategic realignment and other corporate euphemisms for "you're too old and too expensive," I read it once, then set it down without signing anything. "Is this final?" I asked, keeping my voice level. Ashley leaned back in her chair with that smug expression I'd seen before when people think they've won something important. "Very final. We'll need you to complete your offboarding checklist by end of business today. Security will escort you out once you've transferred your system access credentials." That was her first mistake. The confidence. The assumption that 22 years of institutional knowledge could be unplugged like an old monitor and wheeled to the dumpster without consequences. I nodded once, stood up, and walked out without another word. In the elevator down to the parking garage, I pulled out my phone and opened a cloud folder I'd labeled emergency documentation about 5 years ago. It was one of those things you set up hoping you'll never need it, like a home insurance policy or backup generators. Inside were scanned copies of every important document from my career: performance, reviews, patent applications, and most importantly, my original employment contract from 2004. Back then, TechFlow was still a startup with 12 employees and dreams of becoming the next big thing in enterprise software. They were desperate enough to agree to almost anything that would keep their core engineers happy, especially someone with my background in database architecture and security protocols. I'd learned early in my career to read contracts carefully, especially the fine print that most people skip over. Page 23 had the clause that mattered. I'd forgotten about it until this moment, but seeing it again was like finding a $20 bill in an old jacket pocket. Intellectual property ownership for any foundational systems developed during the first 5 years of employment shall remain with the developer in the event of involuntary termination after 15 years of continuous service. Simple language, ironclad legal standing, and absolutely nuclear in its implications. I'd built the authentication system in 2005, the database architecture in 2006, the core API framework that handled all client integrations in 2007, the backup and recovery protocols in 2008. All of it developed during those first crucial years when the company was small enough that one person could architect entire systems from scratch. All of it legally mine under that contract. Sitting in my car in the parking garage, I composed a quick email to Scott Bennett, my attorney for the past 15 years. Scott had handled my divorce, my house purchase, and a handful of contract reviews over the years. He was methodical, thorough, and had a reputation for finding details other lawyers missed. Subject line: review this immediately, urgent. Scott, I was terminated today at 10:45 a.m. Please review the attached employment contract, specifically page 23, clause 15.3. I need to understand my intellectual property rights regarding systems I developed between 2005 to 2008. These systems are currently critical to company operations. Time sensitive. I attached the contract, highlighted the relevant clause, and hit send. The response came back in 14 minutes. "Wade, I'm looking at this right now. Holy cow, they just stepped on a landmine. This clause is bulletproof. Can you meet tomorrow morning? We need to discuss strategy." I drove home in a strange state of calm. 22 years of career anxiety about job security, about staying relevant, about younger engineers making me obsolete, and it turned out I'd been sitting on the ultimate insurance policy the entire time. That evening, I made a list of every system I'd built during those first 5 years. The authentication module that processed over 50,000 logins daily. The database optimization routines that kept query response times under 100 milliseconds. The API gateway that handled integrations with 127 different client systems. the automated backup system that had saved the company's data through 3 major hardware failures. Without those systems, TechFlow would be back to manual processes and spreadsheets within a week. Scott called me at 8 p.m., unable to wait until our morning meeting. "Wade, I've been researching case law all afternoon. This is the strongest intellectual property protection clause I've ever seen in an employment contract. Whoever wrote this knew exactly what they were doing." That was me, actually. I insisted on it after getting burned by a previous employer who claimed ownership of a patent I'd developed on my own time. "Brilliant. Here's what we're going to do. I'll send a formal notice tomorrow morning. Professional, precise, devastating. They'll have 30 days to negotiate licensing terms for continued use of your proprietary systems or face immediate discontinuation of services." What kind of terms are we talking about? Fair market value for enterprise-level proprietary software. I'm doing research, but for systems this critical to daily operations, we're looking at substantial annual licensing fees. Think mid-six figures, minimum. I slept better that night than I had in months. The notice went out at 9:15 a.m. Friday morning. Scott's letterhead, formal legal language, and a copy of the contract with relevant clauses highlighted in yellow. The message was clear. TechFlow was about to learn the difference between firing an employee and losing access to their intellectual property. The panic started within hours. Kevin Walsh, the CFO, called my personal phone at 11:30 a.m. His voice had that strained quality people get when they're trying not to sound desperate while being exactly that. "Wade, we need to discuss this intellectual property situation. Surely we can work something reasonable out." "You're a reasonable guy." "I'm sure we can," I replied. "My attorney will send over the licensing terms early next week." "What kind of terms are we talking about?" "Ballpark? Fair market value for enterprise-level proprietary software. Scott's doing the research, but initial estimates suggest around $150,000 annually for the authentication system, $120,000 for the database architecture, $180,000 for the API framework, plus consulting fees for documentation and knowledge transfer." The silence stretched long enough that I wondered if he'd hung up. "Wade, that could be close to $500,000 per year. Could be. We'll know more after the formal assessment. The alternative is developing replacement systems from scratch, which would take 18 to 24 months and cost significantly more. But surely there's some middle ground here. Maybe we could bring you back as a consultant, work out some kind of arrangement. Under what terms? Reporting to Ashley? Working on her modernization timeline? That ship sailed yesterday at 10:45 a.m. I hung up and poured myself coffee. Outside, it was one of those crisp October afternoons that makes you grateful to be alive. Inside, my phone was lighting up with messages from former colleagues who'd heard the news through the engineering department grapevine. Carl Stevens. "Dude, they're freaking out. Ashley's been in closed-door meetings all day. Legal team got called in from their other office." Sarah Kim. "Did you really own the core systems? This is insane." Kevin Walsh looked like he'd seen a ghost during the staff meeting. Gary Mills. "Just saw Ashley sprint past my office like the building was on fire. She had a stack of papers and looked like she might throw up." "This about you?" Lance Cooper, one of the junior analysts. "The authentication system went down for 20 minutes this morning. Nobody knew how to restart it. Had to call the vendor support line. I didn't respond to any of them. There's something to be said for strategic silence, especially when you know the other side is scrambling to understand just how badly they've miscalculated." By Friday evening, the cracks were starting to show. The authentication system I'd fixed on Tuesday started throwing errors again. Without my maintenance protocols and manual patches, the automated updates were failing. 2 client-facing applications went down for 3 hours, triggering penalty clauses in their service-level agreements. I knew this because Dennis Ford, one of the business analysts, texted me a screenshot of an angry email from Hartwell Manufacturing, one of our biggest clients. "System unavailable for order processing during peak business hours. This is the second outage this month. Please advise on service credits and remediation plan." The timing was perfect. Ashley's first week of streamlined engineering operations, and they were already bleeding money from system instability. Saturday morning, Ashley tried calling me directly. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was a masterpiece of corporate desperation disguised as professional courtesy. "Hi Wade, this is Ashley. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I was hoping we could have a quick conversation about this IP situation. Perhaps we were a bit hasty in our restructuring decision. I'd love to discuss bringing you back as a consultant while we transition to our new systems architecture. Please call me back when you get a chance. Too late for that. The transition to new systems architecture would take 18 months minimum, cost more than my entire department's annual budget, and still wouldn't match the reliability and performance of what I'd built over 2 decades. I didn't call her back. Monday morning brought the formal licensing agreement from Scott. He'd done his homework over the weekend, researching comparable enterprise software licensing deals and consulting with intellectual property specialists. The numbers were sobering for TechFlow, generous for me. $150,000 annually for the authentication system that handled all user logins. $120,000 for the database architecture that processed customer data. $180,000 for the API framework that connected to client systems, plus $50,000 in consulting fees for documentation and knowledge transfer. Total $500,000 annually with a minimum 3-year commitment. Initial payment of $1.5 million due within 60 days. But that wasn't the killer clause. Scott had added a provision that if TechFlow terminated the licensing agreement early, they would owe the full remaining balance immediately, plus penalties for system migration costs. It was designed to make developing replacement systems financially painful enough that they'd prefer to keep paying me. Ryan Foster, the CEO, called personally Tuesday afternoon. I'd met him exactly 3 times in my 22 years there, once at a company picnic, once when he toured the engineering floor for investors, and once during a brief elevator conversation about database performance metrics. Wade, let's be reasonable here. This seems excessive for some legacy code. Legacy code that runs your entire business operation, I replied. Code that's processing $50,000 in transactions every hour when it's running properly. But you're right, it is excessive, which is why I offered to maintain it as an employee for $145,000 a year plus benefits. That offer expired Thursday at 10:45 a.m. We could reinstate your position, full restoration, retroactive to your termination date, same salary, same benefits. Under what terms? Reporting to Ashley, working on her agile transformation timeline, having my architecture decisions second-guessed by junior developers fresh out of coding boot camps. No thanks. Then what do you want, Wade? What would make this go away? What I'm legally entitled to. Fair compensation for intellectual property your company depends on and can't replace. My attorney spent the weekend researching market rates for enterprise software licensing. These numbers aren't arbitrary, but surely there's room for negotiation. Some kind of middle ground. There was middle ground. It was called my employment contract. You chose to void that relationship. Now we're in a commercial licensing relationship instead. The panic intensified throughout the week. On Wednesday, Amy Wilson from legal called with questions about my original contract negotiations. Had I retained copies of email discussions? Were there any verbal agreements that might supersede the written clause? Did I have documentation of the systems I'd developed? I answered truthfully, yes, I had everything documented. The systems were entirely my design and implementation. The contract language was crystal clear. Thursday brought news that TechFlow's largest client, Beacon Industries, was threatening to terminate their contract due to ongoing reliability issues and insufficient technical support. That contract represented 15% of annual revenue. Carl Stevens forwarded me an internal email from the engineering team lead, pleading for anyone who understood the database optimization routines. Apparently, query response times had degraded from 85 milliseconds to over 2 seconds since my departure, causing timeout errors across multiple client applications. We're flying blind here, Carl wrote in a separate message. Nobody knows how half this stuff works. Jessica tried to run a database maintenance routine yesterday and accidentally locked the entire customer table for 4 hours. Friday afternoon, Scott called with an update from his research into TechFlow's financial position. They can't afford to replace your systems, he said. Their cash flow won't support an 18-month development project while maintaining current operations. The board is pressuring Ryan to resolve this quickly. What are they offering? Nothing official yet, but Kevin Walsh reached out through back channels. They want to negotiate down the licensing fees and eliminate the early termination penalties. Not interested. The numbers are fair market value. If they don't like the terms, they can build their own systems. That's what I figured you'd say. I told him the offer stands as written, take it or leave it. Any word on Ashley? Interesting, you ask. I heard through a colleague that she's been meeting with the board daily since Tuesday. Word is they're not happy with how this situation was handled. That evening, I got a text from Nicole Grant in Corporate Affairs, emergency all-hands meeting Monday morning. Topic: organizational stability and strategic direction. Ashley's name isn't on the attendee list. The dominoes were falling exactly as I'd expected. You don't fire the person who built your foundation and expect the building to remain stable. You especially don't do it to save money, then discover that losing their knowledge costs you 10 times their salary. I spent the weekend working in my garage, rebuilding an old motorcycle engine. It was methodical work, requiring patience and attention to detail. Each component had to be cleaned, inspected, and properly seated before moving to the next step. Rush the process, skip the fundamentals, and the engine would fail when you needed it most. Kind of like software architecture, when you think about it. Monday morning brought the news I'd been expecting. Nicole Grant texted me at 8:15 a.m. Ashley's gone. Security escorted her out 20 minutes ago. Board meeting lasted 6 hours Friday. Ryan looks like he hasn't slept in a week. The all-hands meeting was brief and corporate speak heavy. Organizational restructuring and HR leadership and renewed focus on technical excellence and commitment to institutional knowledge preservation. Translation: we fired the person who fired you, and now we're scrambling to fix the mess. Ryan Foster called me that afternoon, his voice noticeably different from our previous conversation. Less CEO swagger, more human desperation. Wade, we need to resolve this situation. The board has authorized me to accept your licensing terms as written. All of them? Including the early termination clauses? All of them. We'd like to sign the agreement this week if possible. I'll have Scott send over the final paperwork tomorrow. Payment terms are 30 days from signing. About that. Wade, I owe you an apology. This whole situation was handled poorly from the beginning. Ashley was overzealous in her approach to cost reduction. I didn't respond immediately. 22 years of watching executives throw subordinates under the bus had taught me to be skeptical of corporate apologies. I appreciate that, Ryan, but this isn't about Ashley anymore. It's about fair compensation for intellectual property. Business is business. The settlement was signed Thursday morning. $1.5 million upfront plus $500,000 annually for 3 years. Scott had also negotiated a clause that gave me right of first refusal on any consulting work related to system architecture or database optimization. The money hit my account the following Tuesday. $1.5 million, after taxes and Scott's fees, was still enough to change my life in ways I'd never imagined possible. But the real satisfaction came from watching the industry response. Word spreads quickly in tech circles, especially when it involves someone getting paid 7 figures for intellectual property rights. By Wednesday, I had emails from 3 different companies asking about consulting availability. By Friday, that number was up to 7. The first serious offer came from Meridian Industries, TechFlow's biggest competitor. They wanted to discuss strategic technical advisory services for their upcoming platform modernization. The irony wasn't lost on me. They were essentially paying me to help them compete better against my former employer. I met with their CTO, a woman named Linda Harrison, who understood the value of experienced engineers in ways Ashley never had. "We've heard about your situation with TechFlow," she said over coffee. "Frankly, it confirms what we've suspected about their technical leadership. Would you be interested in helping us build something better?" The consulting rate was $300 per hour, with a minimum commitment of 20 hours per week. More money than I'd ever made as an employee, with the flexibility to work on projects that actually interested me. 3 months later, I was busier than I'd been in years. Meridian Industries, plus 2 startups and a mid-size manufacturing company that needed help with database architecture. All of them were paying premium rates for the same expertise TechFlow had decided was obsolete. The best part? TechFlow's technical problems had only gotten worse. Carl Stevens kept me updated through occasional texts. The authentication system went down twice more, each time costing them client penalties. The database performance issues led to a major customer cancellation when response times exceeded their SLA requirements by 400%. They'd hired 2 junior engineers to replace me at a combined salary of $160,000 plus benefits. But junior engineers don't have 20 years of institutional knowledge. They don't know why certain database indexes were built the way they were, or which API endpoints have undocumented dependencies on legacy client systems. By month 6, TechFlow was spending more on system maintenance and bug fixes than they'd ever spent on my salary. The licensing fees they were paying me were actually the cheapest part of their technical budget. Ashley, according to LinkedIn, had landed at a small startup as Director of People Operations. Her profile still mentioned driving organizational efficiency through strategic talent optimization. Some people never learn. My favorite client turned out to be the manufacturing company, Peterson Steel. They'd been running on systems from the 1990s and needed someone who could bridge the gap between old and new. The CEO, a guy named Mike Peterson who'd inherited the business from his father, understood the value of institutional knowledge. These young consultants come in with all the latest buzzwords, he told me during our first meeting, but they don't understand how manufacturing works. They want to rip out systems that have been running perfectly for 15 years and replace them with something that looks prettier but works worse. I spent 6 months helping Peterson Steel modernize their operations without losing the reliability they depended on. Gradual upgrades, careful testing, preserving what worked while improving what didn't. It was exactly the kind of project I'd always wanted to work on, but never had time for at TechFlow. The final Vindication came almost a year later. Ryan Foster reached out personally, asking if I'd consider a consulting contract to help with their digital transformation initiative. Apparently, their new systems weren't integrating well with the legacy architecture, and they needed someone who understood both sides. I turned them down, not out of spite, but because I was booked solid with clients who valued my expertise from the beginning, rather than learning its worth the hard way. The phone keeps ringing. Apparently, word has spread in the industry about engineers who know where the bodies are buried, and more importantly, engineers who've been around long enough to have buried them personally. That's the thing about experience in this business. It's not just what you know, it's what you've built that others depend on. And when they forget that dependency, well, the market has a way of reminding them, loudly and expensively. They called me a legacy resource. Turns out they were right. I just cost more than they budgeted for. A lot more. Some lessons are expensive, some are really expensive. And some, like the one TechFlow learned, are expensive enough to change how an entire company thinks about the value of institutional knowledge. I'm still learning lessons too, but mine are about the satisfaction of being paid what you're actually worth. It's a much better curriculum. The biggest mistake companies make isn't undervaluing experience. It's confusing the cost of expertise with the price of losing it, and discovering too late that institutional knowledge doesn't come with a replacement warranty. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't proving them wrong about your worth, but letting the market prove them right about what happens when they throw it away.